All right. Welcome, everybody. We'll just get started in about 1 minute. We know that people are just getting let in. We're so excited to have you all with us today.
Hello, hello, hello.
All right. Okay, well, maybe let's just start off with a few housekeeping things. Who doesn't like a little housekeeping to kick off a good old webinar? One of the things over Zoom is we actually would love to know where everybody is coming in from. Go ahead and change your settings in your Zoom chat so that you are posting to the full group, not just us here at Rock Paper Coin as the moderators. Community is so important to everybody on this phone call, on this Zoom call right now. So let us know who you are, where you're from, what you do, drop your Instagram handle. We love following you, and we know that other people on this call also want to know who you are. So go ahead and get those dropped into the chat.
Awesome.
And also, speaking of, please make sure to follow Rock Paper Coin and CWP Society. We'll go ahead and drop both of those Instagram links into the chat as well, so you can follow us. All right, we'll give everybody a minute to get those rolling.
I am so excited about this topic. I can barely stand
I
myself.
know.
I am too.
Same. It's been like bubbling over here. We keep like talking about it internally. The
Yeah.
day finally here, it felt like Christmas morning.
Christmas. I cannot wait for Christmas too. I am so stinking excited. Are you the type of person that counts down to Christmas? Because I count it down. I'm like, let's go, let's go. Come on,
Wait,
one more
so
week.
do you allow yourself to decorate before Halloween, or do you have to wait till after? Like, I know that there's controversies about this.
There really are. And I'm like, why are there controversies about this? Do we not have enough
Like,
problems
everyone
in
should
our
just do it.
well, no, I just think there's enough things to worry about in this world. No, I am the day after Halloween, I go to town. Now, a lot of my friends think I'm insane because they don't do it until well after Thanksgiving, but I'm like, no, that's a lot of work to only leave up for a month. Like that's no.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, everybody. Wow, we've got so many people from all over. This is amazing. Hello, hello to everybody. Well, for those of you who are new, we are Rock Paper Coin. We're a female-founded and owned tech startup, and our platform serves small business owners, just like many of all of you, providing contracts and invoices, proposals, and much more. And you can make sure if you enter in RPC Unfiltered, you'll get your first 6 months free on Rock Paper Coin. So you can go ahead and give us a try if you are looking for some new software. Now, we are not here to hear about rock, paper, coin as much as I would love to tell you all about it. We are here to learn about CWP Society. And with me, I have Laurie and Krisy, and thank you both so much. We are so thrilled to have you here.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. And I love any time we get to talk to you guys. So it's always fun.
Agreed. Agreed. Now, for those of you that maybe are not familiar with CWP Society, they provide membership and certification options to thousands of wedding planners and professionals. They have a reputation of being one of the most celebrated, informative, affordable certification programs in the world, like truly the world. This program attracts professionals and planners from all over, and it's taught by Laurie and Kristy, and they are two award-winning planners. And y'all, they have a combined 43 years of experience in this industry. So if that doesn't tell you that they are experts, this webinar is definitely going to tell you that they are experts because they know what they are talking about. They also care very deeply for every member of their society and the community as a whole. I have been the recipient of their, unwavering love and support. And I know as members in their community, they also do the same for all of them. So they are true, like community over competition people. And they really believe all rising tides lift boats. So, they also believe that, standing together and across the globe is going to power this industry to become more powerful. And so with that, I really just want to give a very warm and loving welcome to Laurie and Krisy. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much. Krisy and I just love wedding professionals. We love our members so stinking much. It's disgusting how much we love our members. And I see a few of them on this call today too. So hi members, I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love you, love you. So we're happy to be here.
Yes. Okay. We got to get right into the meat because we have too much to cover. So now, I think one of the very first topics that we want to talk about is that I think a lot of professionals today are just feeling overwhelmed, bombarded by the sheer amount of education options that are out there. There are so many conferences, summits, workshop courses, memberships. It just is becoming a lot. And everybody is promising this, one unicorn secret to unlocking things and booking clients. And some of them, they're free. Some of them carry hefty price tags. So I think the first thing that we really need to tackle is how do you know what's actually worth like hard-earned cash and even more valuable, your time? Because sometimes it feels like we're just drowning. And so going to every conference and every, program isn't going to be an option. So, how do you really sift through all of that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you raised some seriously valid concerns about the overwhelming number of educational options that are available to wedding professionals today. I mean, it's true, the market is flooded with conferences and summits and workshops and webinars and courses and memberships, and they're all promising, to reveal this like secret to success and client acquisition, and just the sheer volume of choices are usually often associated with those hefty price tags that are attached to them. And it can be really dizzying and leaving a lot of wedding professionals feeling super pressured to, invest in everything instead of very specific things. So the key really is to kind of just focus on educators as well as educational opportunities that really align with your values as well as your specific goals, because we all have different goals, right? So the truth is, what Krisy and I find a lot is that people don't always know that they need help yet. So you guys who are listening, you might need help in an area that you don't even realize you need help in. And it's the job of a really great educator that can bring that to light for you. So rather than chasing every new program or unicorn secret, as you mentioned, Elizabeth, uh, take the time to assess your current skills and then find an organization that can really help you discover those ways that can help you elevate yourself and your business over a long period of time, but also offers a ton of different options, if that makes sense.
I really like that. I think, that is just an interesting thing to pull a thread on is a good educator is going to show you your weakness and show you maybe the gap in your business. And I really hadn't thought about education in that way before.
Right.
So then to kind of like play on that, how do you know the good ones? Like if you are first time going out there and thinking, I need to, better my business, I want to get into some education. How do you know it's going to be a good one that's going to show you? Is that even possible?
Well, I mean, not all of the options are going to be right for everybody, right? So you got to really evaluate your educational options. You got to look for programs that have a proven track record. Um, Make sure too that they're being led by really experienced and reputable industry experts. Make sure that they're offering curriculum that kind of balances both the creative as well as the business aspects of the wedding industry. So I think that that's important. I know Krisy, you probably have some thoughts on that too.
And I think because it is so overwhelming, sometimes it kind of feels like you don't need that additional education. But I do want to mention that and then we have to have that continuous learning. We have to have that professional development because it's undeniably very important in our career as wedding pros. But it's also very crucial for us to make sure that we are very strategic about where we're investing our time and our money, and make sure that you keep in mind that not every educator, nor the education that they provide is actually going to be created equal.
Yes. I mean, because I've seen so many bad educational content out there. I have to be honest with you, Elizabeth. I've seen a lot of bad. And by the way, some of them are from well-known sources and companies and people. And unfortunately, because they're not professional educators, they don't actually realize how much damage even the most innocent comments or suggestions can make. So advice and education has to be given very, very carefully and with a lot of intention behind the why. That, why are you saying these things? And there needs to be intention behind what you are saying. And unfortunately, most of the time it isn't intentional, and it has a lot, very little thought that goes behind it. And a lot of times these people who are not professional educators, but they're well-known sources, they're well-known people in the industry. What happens is when you don't put intention behind it and you're not basing your advice and education on a lot of the research and understanding every single region that you are educating, you may not realize the implications that it might have on an individual, but not to mention our industry, so.
That's a good point, Laura. I feel like in a perfect world, anytime that someone needs advice, that we would recommend they connect with someone who's a professional educator, right, rather than maybe trying to advise them personally.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's just made me think, we don't have necessarily an industry that's like regulated, that has like continuous learning hours. When I look at like real estate agents, like even they have to go and do so many hours to like upkeep their license throughout the year. And we don't have anything like that. And so it's very easy to let that slip. And that's when you fall behind. And so I think, to both of your points, always seeking out and continuing that education, even if it's 20 hours a year, whatever it is, 30 hours a year, whatever that number can be, it's really important to do that so that you're just, staying up to date with all of the happenings in the industry and bettering your business.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, switching kind of gear and talking about this, I want to talk about the investment and the value. So, kind of sometimes I've seen what's happened is that the investment doesn't always equal the value. And sometimes we can jump really too fast into like courses or classes that maybe it's not needed yet, or maybe it's a fantastic resource from a very, high end or free, webinar that's happening, and it doesn't apply to your business. So do you think you can associate like value with an investment? And is there a point in a career where maybe you grow out of one and you have to look at it another way? Like, what's kind of your value, to investment, like thoughts?
Right.
Oh gosh. For me, when I think about that, I feel like you can't automatically associate value with investment. To me, it honestly truly depends on the source that you're looking into to get that education from. I think about it, when I think about us as planners, it's similar to when we're looking to add those wedding pros to our approved vendor list. Just because they are the most expensive vendor in your area doesn't automatically mean they're the best. So I think we have to have that same mindset when it comes to the education that we're wanting to invest in.
Absolutely. And in many cases, wedding planners and vendors don't always, like we were mentioning, don't always know what they need until it's being brought up, or maybe they're in the middle of an accidental educational piece. But honestly, not every conference or webinar has the professional's best interest at heart. And I see so many missteps from wedding pros and wedding planners who are posting in these Facebook forums. Okay. And I can see that they're doing a lot of things wrong, and others are just jumping in with advice, and it just doesn't really help. And it can actually do more harm than good. And of course, when I see this, my heart literally breaks into half. And, I try to help as many people as possible, but it can really feel impossible sometimes. So it's just really important that I don't know if you can automatically check, and put that value, to it right then. I just feel like you've got to make sure that whoever you're investing in has the right background and has the right intentions for their members, right? So I think that that's always amazing. I'm always just shocked and amazed at the fact that some of these workshops and courses are being put together by planners with like 5 years of experience. And I'm not saying that 5 years of experience isn't awesome and we shouldn't celebrate being in business for 5 years, but a proper educator, let me tell you what kind of goes through it. Like, they have to see from every perspective. They have to understand just about every angle of the industry. They have to be able to present the answers and the tips and all the tools that they provide, in a very strategic way. They have to apply it to the masses rather than just one thing that worked for them, for their specific company in their specific region. Because one misguided piece of advice can actually lead someone to ruins. honestly. I've seen it actually happen. So an educator's job is just a really heavy responsibility, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. And
Yeah.
proper educators do so much research on a daily basis and have, their pulse on every aspect of the industry. It's a job kind of all by itself. Not kind of, it's a job all by itself. It is just fascinating. So to me, a great educator has to have an enormous amount of empathy, but kind of thinking too, like ultimately really successful wedding professionals are going to be people who approach education with intention and discernment, right? I think that that's just a really important thing to do. And there are a lot of valuable resources available through industry memberships, podcasts, webinars, certification programs that can really help each and every single person that's listening today,
Mhm.
like achieve their goals. But you got to know how to leverage those resources.
Yeah.
So to me, even the low costs and free options like podcasts and things of that nature can really help you stay informed and inspired, or having, like, we have a free membership available through CWP Society. That is another really great place that you can plug yourself into, where you don't have to spend a fortune. You don't have to break the bank, if
Mhm.
you will. But you just want to make sure that you're getting information from reputable sources who understand the levity of what it means to be a mentor and be an educator. And you got to look for organizations that provide education that is clearly out to improve other people's lives, their members' lives, and not make it all about them. And I think that
Yeah.
that is just such a huge piece of the puzzle.
Okay, I want to highlight something that I'm blown away by that I really hadn't thought about. So, advice versus education. Advice, what I am picking up on and think is true, is what worked for somebody in their business, and they're advising you to try the same thing. Education is saying, here's all the available resources, find what's going to work for your business. And you need advice, but you also need education, and they're very different. And I think that it's really important to understand when you're getting advice,
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily have to act on it. You can just be like, great, that's what worked for your business. It might not work for mine. And
That's
education is going to make you do the work.
right. And a great educator is going to be able to advise people in the right way, because educators go about things totally differently. We
Yeah.
ask a million more questions about you and what's kind of the deeper version of, so if I see something on a forum, someone says, I'm running into this problem, what do you guys think I should do? I'm amazed that nobody else is asking any more questions.
Mm.
They're just like, this is what I've done, do this. I can't believe you're doing this. Well, stop doing that. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I don't think that we should, if you're not an educator and you're not a professional educator, I should say, and an expert in this field, please, please, please be careful what advice you give.
Mhm.
What
Because
happens is that advice actually ends up molding into education. They're taking what you're giving them, implementing it in their business. And if you haven't done the proper steps like an educator would, by asking more questions, getting better details, learning more about their business, and that way you can provide them with a more educated piece of advice, then they're taking it, they're implementing it. And like Laurie said, we could be doing more harm to someone's business than you realize when you're just giving them this free advice without truly being intentional and educated behind it. To me, it's very blurry. And I
yes,
see it a lot in these Facebook forums and these groups, and it frightens me and it scares me for the planners who are taking some of this advice, knowing what can possibly happen with their business by taking it.
So I think that's really important to highlight, is that when we look at educators, what are maybe some of the signs, like the personality signs, like Laurie mentioned, like in a Facebook thread, maybe they're asking more questions. Like, what are some signs that we can look for to know that this is like a well-intentioned, good educator?
yeah. Well, you want to make sure that the educators and anyone on their team and staff, right, have a significant experience and a proven track record, in the industry. You need to make sure that you are only getting information from people who have a great reputation, who are affiliated with reputable industry organizations. Make sure you're reading reviews. as well. And if there's only like 20 reviews available, that's not enough. I want you to dive deeper. Go on Facebook reviews. I want you to look on Google reviews. I want you to go to the BBB. I want you to look everywhere. Check those ratings. I think that's really, really important. For instance, we have all 5-star reviews. I don't have one 4-star review for the organization. I'm always checking. Can I find
I
a
know
4-star
you do, which is why I love it.
it's important. You want to also make sure that you are able to kind of observe their teaching style as well. So, and figure out what their communication skills are. Do they have the ability to really engage with the people who are wanting that education? Do they inspire you in any way, or are they really condescending? And poo-poo faces. Because if there's a poo-poo face, who wants to hang out with a poo-poo face? Nobody wants to get education from them. You also want to make sure too that whoever you're getting your education from provides clear and really well-structured curriculum. And then on top of the curriculum, right, they have ample support and resources for you to pull from. And, for instance, with the CWP Society, I'm really proud because we have a free pro membership open to every category in the wedding industry, because I want to make sure that we're all kind of connected again and on the same page. And it's free for life. Then we have a premium membership. That's a really low subscription where every single penny you pay, it actually can be applied to any certification program you want. So if you want to be a part of that program for a year and save up $300 and put the $300 towards certification, do it. Every penny can be contributed to that. And they get so many amazing resources from that. And our certification programs, we have certified wedding planner, we have certified wedding design consultant, certified style shoot coordinator, certified floor plan designer, certified timeline genius, certified wedding professional, certified wedding venue manager, certified wedding planner assistant, certified associate wedding planner. It just goes on and on and on. And it includes a lifetime free membership when you get certified, like never pay monthly or annual dues. So it's really important that they have all of those resources and all of those things built into whatever program, and they have enough programs to where you can just keep growing. You also need to make sure that your educator is empathetic and has a gigantic heart, because if it's all me, then how are you, the professional, the wedding planner, going to ever benefit from that? So you have to be careful with that. And you also want to make sure that they can teach the masses, and they're super careful not to give advice based on just their experience, what worked only and specifically for them. You need to make sure that your educator has actually invested an enormous amount of time and resources and effort to learn what works for everyone and not just one particular person.
I'm curious what you both think. So if you're looking at some educators and you're trying to decide maybe who might be a better fit, I feel like a lot of educators will have videos of them giving talks or some of their courses on YouTube. And so maybe going and checking out some YouTube videos to see, is it speaking to you? Do you like the tone? Do you like the education that's coming across? It might be a really good first step for ways to narrow down the list of educators and who you're looking at.
I 100% agree. Before you make a big investment, definitely take advantage of those free resources, the YouTube videos, the podcasts, webinars like this, so that way you can really get to know that educator before you invest your dollars in them. And I will say, Laurie, not to like call you out, but when I gained my certification years ago, when you taught me before I had the honor and privilege of teaching alongside you, all of these things that you mentioned, that's what I did when I found the CWP Society. I dug deep. I read the reviews. I actually took it a step further. I followed the planners who said they got certified through you to look at their weddings and see what they were doing. Like I just wanted to make sure it was a really good fit, because it was such an investment and it was not, my time, my money, but I wanted to make sure that it was a good fit. And I will say, within the first 5 minutes of you speaking, I immediately was like, well, this is about to change my life. I just knew it, just because of your presence, your aura, how you were, your heart. And even during one of the breaks, we had the opportunity to meet one-on-one. And I am terribly introverted. Not everyone believes that, but I was so scared to be a part of this conference that I made my mom come with me. Like that's how scared I was.
Love it.
So I had the opportunity to like talk to her during the break, and I was like breathing. I was like, okay, you're gonna go talk to Laurie. Here we go. And I like stood up to talk to her, and I immediately felt comfortable. I immediately could feel that you were genuinely wanted me to succeed just within our quick 10-minute conversation. And I think that's important. If you're going to be investing in someone who's going to be teaching you and hopefully elevating your business, you want it to be with someone who wants to see you succeed and not, like Laurie said, not be that me, and all about filling up their bank account, not growing you. Because I see that a lot in some of these educators where you can tell that they're driven by how much money they're making, not by the people that they're teaching.
Yeah. So speaking of YouTube, let's talk a little bit about social media, because I think social media, it's an amazing tool, but it can also be dangerous. And there is a really fine line of leaning on social media for education and for inspiration. So how should business owners kind of navigate learning from social media and finding the right accounts, and applying some of the tips and tricks that are talked about on social media into their own business?
Yeah, well, we have to be really careful here. This is where we get really this scares me. Social media has a fine line in the wedding industry, and we all have to make sure that we're navigating it with our eyes wide open. So I kind of want to warn everyone from leaning on that random advice that you see on social media, because a lot of times it's given by uncredentialed people. So you want to make sure that it's only coming from a credentialed source. So I want us to kind of think about this in a completely different way. Think about, like, we all have issues, all of us. I bet if you asked Elizabeth, how many of you guys have issues with those pop-up planners or those pop-up wedding pros, right? And maybe you're saying, oh, they just read a wedding magazine and now they call themselves a professional wedding planner, or they have this really nice camera and now they call themselves a professional wedding photographer. And so everybody's talking about that. And when we see this happening in industry, people are like, oh, that person calls them a professional. They don't have any credentials and they don't have any experience. But can we just take a step back? Why don't we look at ourselves for a second? If you look on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest, aren't many experienced planners and professionals doing kind of the same thing in regards to setting themselves up to look like an educator or an expert in their field? Many times I'm seeing this, but I know that person isn't a professional educator or an expert. So is that any different? And so, we as an industry need to know and see the difference between being a professional with experience and the difference of being an educator and an expert, because there is a gigantic difference, and they need to stop giving themselves their own credentials. Credentials are earned and they're given by reputable sources and organizations. They don't just magically appear. You don't just snap your fingers and poof, I'm credentialed. So, it's something we have to be careful of.
And
I know, yeah, sorry.
Good differentiation, or to kind of tease out, is that people who have been in the industry or have gained, a lot of followers because they have a very successful planning company, like, follow them, like, love on their content, like, absolutely. But leaning on them and taking what they do and applying it to your business is where it gets dangerous. Because if we think about it from the client perspective, if my client sends me a Pinterest picture, I'm like, you have a different budget than that picture.
Thank you.
And we should apply it to our own business. Like, they have a different budget for their business than I have.
Yes.
And so the same advice we give our clients, we have to give ourselves too in the world of social media.
To me, that is that social media comparison game that we all fall trapped to. We have to remember that on social media, that is the highlight reel. That is going to be the best of everyone's work. They're going to showcase and show you what they want you to see, but we don't see their struggles. We don't even know if their business is actually a success. Maybe they're struggling financially, but we don't know that. So we're not seeing the full truth. So we just don't want to get caught up in that comparison game when it comes to social media. If you are going to play that game, I want you to compare yourself to the person that you were a year ago, not to the other wedding planner who may not even be in your market. I fall victim to that. I was comparing myself to these planners from all across the world. And I'm like, similar to what you just said, Elizabeth, is like,
Yeah.
We have different clienteles. We have different markets. I can't compare what they're doing to what I'm doing within my business.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So with education and conferences, and let's be on like, during conference season, it feels like there are just like dozens of conferences. I want to be at all of them. They all look amazing again on social media. And honestly, I feel like we could all go bankrupt trying to go to all of them, do all of the education, do all the things. So is there a good, rule of thumb? Is there a good like business practice for like a percentage of maybe your business budget that should be allocated to education, that should be allocated to conferences?
Well, it kind of depends on everybody's specific financial situation, right? Here's the thing. The average conference fees are anywhere, from $300 to sometimes up to $5,000.
Mhm.
And you have to pay to get there. And that's just that alone is going to range from like $200 to $600 just to get there. And then you need to sleep somewhere, unless you're comfortable with like sleeping on the ground or maybe underneath a bridge. Most likely you'll probably get like a hotel room, and that's going to range anywhere from $200 to $400 a night. And you'll probably have again. And then you have to arrange for transportation to get to and from the airport, which is always a good time. So add another maybe $100
Yeah.
to that. And now, I also recommend eating. I think that you should nourish yourself. So you're going to have to eat out for breakfast, out for lunch, and out for dinner for those 2 days that you're off in this new land. So over a period of 2 days, you probably would have spent, I don't know, 200, $300. Then you will probably, and more if you're going to have a couple cocktails, and then you'll probably buy a new outfit because you don't want to go in your old clothes. People may have seen you in those things before. So you go out and you buy another, maybe $100 outfit. So if you add these things up, it's going to range from like $1,300 to like $7,000. So you have to ask yourself, well, this quick 2-day conference where I'm going to be attending maybe 5 or 10 quick little 20, 30 minutes sessions, is it going to be worth it? Because I'm going to be walking away with 0 credentials in hand, proving that I've even upped my game. And does it add enough value to my business where it's going to be a game changer? See, I've got over 8,000 certified wedding planners as members, and I have thousands more of wedding professionals that are members. And 90% of them tell me that those events aren't worth the money, and because they don't bring in any return investment. And I see wedding planners and pros heading out to these big conferences, spending a fortune and returning with nothing but debt. So to me, that's why it's vital that you invest in the right organizations, ones that give you more than you ever thought possible, an organization that's completely and utterly devoted to raising you and your business up, an organization that is completely and utterly devoted to elevating your business and elevating you in such a way that they are trying to make you a better version of yourself. So try not to get sucked into that comparison game that the beautiful Krisy was just talking about, because it is a trap of the conference FOMO, and all you'll be left with is regret. And I know Krisy definitely talks about that all of the time.
Because for me, if you're paying that kind of money and not receiving some sort of, whether it's a certification, a membership, or any types of steps that you can improve with your business, then not only was it a waste of your money, but also a waste of your valuable time. And even, I have some people who say, well, it's a good networking opportunity. That's a big price tag to network with other wedding professionals who may not even be in your area. Like, you got to kind of really make sure that you're looking at your funds, like you said, Lord, really comparing if you can actually afford to be a part of it versus comparing to, oh, it looked like it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it will not be one outfit. If it's a 2-day conference, for some reason, you're like, I'm going away for 2 days. I have to bring 10 outfits. If that's how I am, I don't know why. Like, I'm going to be changing times throughout the day. My son will always ask, we go on trips. He'll say, how many times a day are we changing, Mom? So that's me. So that $100 quickly went probably to 5 if I'm packing.
Yeah. I think that's good. So the first is total it. What is the all-in cost? It's not
Right.
just the ticket. So do the math. What is the all-in cost? And then understanding what's the ROI, your return on investment. If I go to this conference and it's going to cost me $1,300, I need to book one wedding. I need to book two weddings, whatever it is, to
Right.
make it worth it. And can I do that for
And you have to
the
book that wedding because of that
Okay.
investment that you put in.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Okay. I think those are like good actionable things I feel like people can take away when it comes to conference season, because it's so easy to just be like, well, the ticket's only $500 or the ticket's only 1,000, but really that all-in cost, and then making sure that ROI is there.
Yes.
Okay, so left turn, I know I want to leave a lot of time for Q&A. We got some amazing questions already. Everybody makes mistakes, and it's how honestly some of the best teachers that I know in this industry and also just in life is because they've made mistakes, they learned from them, they pivoted, and they became better for it. What are some of the biggest mistakes education-wise that you two have made, and kind of the learning that came from those mistakes and how you pivoted or applied the mistakes to better yourselves?
Yeah, so a lot of my mistakes happened before the educator part of me evolved, and I made a lot of mistakes in just being a business owner, being a wedding planner. And I took all of those mistakes, pivoted, learned from them. And my job as an educator is to make sure I'm telling everybody how I screwed up. To me, that is how I can help people, by telling them, please don't do it the way I did it. I had to pivot. I had to change. That cost me. Don't make the same mistakes that I made. So a lot of my mistakes happened before I was able to even become an educator. I could say that some of my biggest mistakes is I run empty a lot.
Mm.
I am a bit of a giver, and I give to the point of exhaustion. So one of my things that I'm really working on now is to be more careful with all of my gives. And so I'm still willing to give, but I have to give in moderation, and I can't give forever and ever to just one person. I need to be able to spread it out over time. And so Krisy gets on to me all the time about this. She yells at me. She literally is like, Laurie. And Eddie, our friend Eddie at Timeline Genius, gets on to me. Even Nora has gotten on to me in the past. It is something that is a mistake, because as an educator, you can't afford to run dry. I have to make sure that I am constantly being filled up so that I have more to give. And so that's a big mistake, and it's something that we can easily fall into as educators.
And I know it's because of your passion. I mean, you are one of the most passionate people, and it's not you're so passionate about the people who look up to you, who mentor you, but also the industry as a whole. Like, I know it is your goal to really make a lasting impact and change the entire industry. And because of that, you forget about you. So so that's why I yell at you, because I'm like, don't forget to take care of you, Laurie. Like, one day at a time, we will change this industry, but it may not all take place this Tuesday. But
but I want it tomorrow.
You want it tomorrow. I know. I think one of my biggest mistakes is as an educator, and especially in the beginning of me teaching alongside Laurie, mentoring me, not just as a wedding planner, but as an educator, is I definitely put myself in that comparison hole of looking at other educators, what they were doing, how I could be like them. And I realized that that's what makes me special, is it's me and my personality, and how much I love, teaching, and how much I want to see others truly succeed, compared to, oh yeah, they're going to this really big conference. I'm not teaching at that really big conference. Does that make me less of an educator? Getting outside of my own head and knowing that because of my heart, because I genuinely want to see other people succeed, that's good enough.
And one of the things that Krisy, and I talk about too, is because her passion is, this is why she's now my vice president, is because she's got passion very similar to mine, and I'm so blessed to have her as part of my right hand, honestly. She's sometimes my right and my left hand. We see so many of those red flags out there, from educators, little like things out there. And we are constantly saying, okay, how do we balance all of the red flags that we're seeing, all of those things out there? How can we balance that and help people overcome some of those things that we're constantly seeing? So it can be really tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good thing. And it sounds like too, the two of you are also kind of some accountability partners.
Yes,
And I
100%.
think that's also part of education, is like finding your community, finding people that will, support you and keep you honest and
True.
want you to better your business. I think what's interesting, just hearing the two of you chat about this, it makes me think, if Krisy and I, we took the same advice from, let's say, somebody that thought they were an educator, and we implemented the exact same steps, we would not book the same weddings. We would, even in a pool of the exact same people, we would book different people. What I think education does is it says, here are things you should consider for your business. And then I would build out a different workflow than Krisy would build out a different workflow. And that we would still book different clients, but we would likely be more successful because it's tailored to who we are as a person.
That's it. You have to be authentic, right? It has to come from a genuine place. Great educators and great education will help you find your path, not someone else's path. I would say to my members, I don't want to make duplicate Lori Hartwells and Krisy Thomases. This is not what I'm looking for. I want you to find your path. I'm going to give you some suggestions, but now I want you to, like, whatever their name. So like your name is Elizabeth, I'd say Elizabethify it down. And so that's usually kind of, and I ask them, how can we Elizabethify this particular thing? What's your heart telling you? And let me help guide you through that, because that, my friend, is where it's at. But when you hear these, how to make six figures, or how to do this, or they're not customizing the situation to you.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel like I could ask a million more questions. I have to put a T on this because I need to go rapid fire through these questions that are coming in. We have too many questions to get through. If you have more questions, keep putting them into Q&A, into the chat. Okay. Truly, we got to go rapid fire on these questions. So, okay. First question. All right. Should I ever take out a loan to pay for a course?
I don't necessarily recommend doing that.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No debt. That's that.
How can I use social media to find valuable educational content without getting sucked into highlights and reels, which is a very real thing?
Krisy, I'll let you handle that one, baby.
You just have to be very particular about who you're following. And to me, social media, if someone is making you feel bad about yourself, your business, if you were comparing yourself to that person, if that person, to me, red flags for the type of education that I want to receive, whether it's on social media or webinar, if they are using, let's say, foul language, or using those red flag words that we mentioned, like make six figures or grow your team, without really knowing who you are. Sometimes those blanket statements, to me, I don't want to follow that, because I want to make sure I'm investing in people who are investing in me. And that includes in social media. So if social media is making you feel bad, if you're comparing yourself to them, or they're doing some red flag things, then unfollow.
Are there specific social media communities that you would recommend for the wedding and event industry?
Those are the ones that a lot of times you can get into trouble. So I like ours because I can vouch for us. I know that I'm always going to be incredibly careful and intentional with CWP societies, both our Facebook and our Instagram account. But outside of that, I don't think I'd recommend it unless it is like really a genuine, reputable source, and not just a community that provides zero education and has no professional educators involved.
Yeah. Krisy, anything else to add to that?
I think because I'm in a lot of those other outside groups, and I see it and I compare it to what we offer here at the CWP Society, and it is very negative, very condescending, and this is coming from the people on the top, and that makes me feel bad. Lori, she built this company to not be that way. literally, like she said, no poopy faces. She doesn't tolerate that. And I think that's one reason why we don't have it in our organization, is because everyone knows her expectations of our members, and we will not make anyone feel less than or stupid. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. And I see that in a lot of these groups where people are very negative to someone for asking a basic, simple question. And it makes my stomach hurt. So be very cautious about what groups you allow yourself to be in.
Yes.
We've gotten actually quite a bit of questions, so I'm going to kind of group some together. It looks like people are kind of looking for like specifics, like they want help with marketing, so they're looking for education around marketing, or they're looking for, you know, education around contracts and SEO. So where do you turn for very specific education?
Okay, so for very specific things, I want you guys to go to the ones that actually specialize in it. So don't go into all of these all in one thing. So for instance, you're looking for a great place to have contracts. Rock, paper, coin is hands down the only one that we recommend at the CWP Society. I get offers every single day, Elizabeth, for like, hey, I have this company, and can you? And I just turn people flat down, because unless I know everything about your company, I'm not going to be recommending it. Rock, paper, coin is by far one of the very best places that you could deal with for contracts and invoicing. For marketing, I love the Weddingpreneurs Content Club, Krisy. She just does an amazing job. She's a guru, but she explains things on such a level that you just get it and you understand it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist for it.
Yeah. And for SEO, I don't, but Sarah Dunn is another,
Sure.
you know, one that has an SEO course. I don't,
you know, we're partners with the Dandy agency, Serena
yes.
Waller.
Yeah.
Love her. And she has very, because all of my
Very
members have
specific.
exclusive discounts. All my members get exclusive discounts to like people like you, Rock, Paper, Coin, and people. Dandy Agency actually created a beautiful program that's really inexpensive just for my members. So it's amazing. Yeah.
That's right. So actually, just on that note, what are some of the other like kind of packages or benefits that come with being a part of CWP Society?
Yeah, so we do weekly workshops on a variety of different subjects. So every single Wednesday at noon Eastern, we have a live workshop. You missed it, we have ways for you to view it. We have quarterly business coaching for all of our certified members. For our master certified members, we have monthly business mentoring and business coaching. We have ways that you can get featured on all of our social media platforms. We have so many resources and tools to pull from. We have video marketing tips once a month. We have when I say it's overwhelming of continuing education, there's no way for me to even properly get that message out there, because there's no way for me to even describe it. But the other thing is exclusive discounts with top industry companies like Rock, Paper, Coin, Timeline Genius, Mary, the Dandy Agency, the Weddingpreneurs Club. All of what Krisy and I have done is figured out, okay, which programs are the absolute necessities for my members, and we only want to partner with people that elevate my members and make them the very, very best, and make them look like rock stars.
I love that.
So yeah, there's a lot.
So a couple of questions that came in kind of about the same topic. So how can I tell if a free webinar is truly going to be education based, or if it's going to be a sales pitch? You know, if it's free, the person who's giving it has to be receiving something. So how do you find that balance?
Yeah, so honestly, you can find really great nuggets in free webinars, even if they have a sales pitch at the end. Just because there's a sales pitch doesn't mean that you can't pull something from that. You're not being required to buy what they're selling. So, you know, here's the key. You've just got to make sure that the promoters of whatever webinar that are giving this free webinar, even if it has a sales pitch at the end, is really well known and known for their education skills and has an excellent reputation. Otherwise, I wouldn't waste my time.
Somebody just asked, they're really struggling with their contracts and they're looking for templates or resources. Now, am I mistaken that you all have?
We do.
Some of that?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have 40 templates and different packages because everybody needs something different. And so, yeah, we have contracts, and multiple contracts. We have termination letters because God forbid we have to fire someone. I don't like that, but it has to happen. We have so many packages. I think we have 18 packages that for wedding planners that they can kind of pick and choose and manipulate. And we have questionnaires and forms, but not for wedding planners and wedding pros to have the clients fill out, but for us to fill out on behalf of, because that I could go into the whole, that would take me another hour to explain why wedding planners should stop asking clients to fill out forms.
Okay. Yeah. If this is so funny, the old philosophy, if it's too good to be true, should that be applied to finding education, or am I being paranoid? Which I love that question.
Usually it's too good to be true. So anytime you're looking for education, you really just need to make sure that the educators are well known, well respected, well loved. If they're not, then yeah, it's too good to be true. You might want to skip it. For instance, I saw a really big name in the industry that said, hey, we have certifications now for $125, and they don't tell you who's going to be teaching these certification programs. They don't tell you anything about the programs. I'm like, okay. And then I had members who took the certification programs and then contacted us and saying, I'm so grateful that we found you.
Okay.
Like, oh, yeah.
Okay.
So it's usually too good to be true.
Somebody else, I'm on a tight budget. Do you know of any financial aid options for wedding and event industry education? Which is an interesting question. I don't know if I do.
I don't think I do. I'm always, and to me, a lot of those, like, that might be too good to be true kind of situation as well, but I don't know any financial aid options that are specifically available for that. Some people go and get loans. I don't recommend loans. I just know that you need to find a membership or a certification or an educational organization that has affordable options for you.
And I think, go ahead, Krisy, sorry.
I would say our premium membership, Laurie, that we are offering would be perfect for this, because the way that we have it set up is you pay a monthly fee, and that monthly fee then goes to the certification programs that we offer. So, but within that premium membership, you get access to those weekly workshops. So you're getting some of that education, but that money that you're putting towards that will then get you to be able to get our Mac Daddy certification, which is hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of content. So that could be a way to kind of help with any budget constraints.
Yeah.
I also love the comments that just came in. Set up a savings plan, include it in your budget, be your own financial aid. I think, that's amazing.
I love that. And that's the way to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think conferences are different than education. And I don't want to, so Laurie and Krisy, if you disagree, please let me know. But a conference, it's a ticketed price. Like there's not going to be like any discounts or financial aid. Like that just is what it is. And that's a sale. But education, like there's probably some payment plan options.
Yes,
there's probably monthly options where, so all of a sudden, instead of a very large price point, that can become more affordable when it's broken down monthly.
But be careful too, because a lot of times the companies that have like, hey, we can break up the cost into small monthly tidbits, a lot of times that tells you that they may not have set up their company the way there's reasons behind it. I only know because I'm an educational program now. And so I'm always hesitant, like, oh gosh, that is going to be a big mistake. That usually tells me that they're brand new to the industry. So you have to kind of be careful there, but you also want to make sure too that you are finding ways to invest in yourself. We as professionals, wedding professionals, Elizabeth, I'd like to know if you agree with me here as well. We're asking clients to invest their money in us. But how much are we investing in ourselves within our own education? And, I can tell you that what I look for, like whether I'm looking for someone to do my landscaping or I'm looking for someone to do some construction work, I need to know that they're educated. I look at that. And so if you're like, gosh, I can't find my ideal client, it's because you might be attracting people that don't care about your education, don't care about how much you've invested in yourself. They just want the quick buck. So you have to make sure that if you want to be attracting that ideal client, that you're the ideal wedding professional to go with that.
Yeah.
So the ideal wedding pro, the ideal wedding planner, they're
Yep.
educated. They have certifications. They've got credentials.
Yep. 100%. And I think too, all of us on this call here, like we're constantly doing our own education, and it's in the industry, but most of the time it's outside of the industry too. Like we have learned it from experience, but that it doesn't just stop at our experience. Like we're constantly educating ourselves as well, because the industry is evolving. And so I think that's also an important piece of that, is just because somebody has done it doesn't mean that they can then go and educate on their 20 years. Like they also have to be continuing to educate themselves as well.
Yes, we should, no one, me, Krisy, you, every wedding planner, every wedding professional, the education never stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ever. And if it does, then there's a bigger problem. Anytime you say to yourself, I think I know enough.
Yeah.
That's a red flag. Nope, you don't.
Yeah. Okay, so if anybody has a burning question, drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I have one last question that I will ask these two amazing humans who are here with me. I'll just give a minute if anybody has something that they want to ask on the fly. And my last question is, if you could leave one piece of advice, each of you, one piece of advice for everybody to take away from this call, what would that parting advice be?
Oh, I have so many pieces, but so just one. To make sure that you know your why. Why remember why you got into this industry, and make sure that carries you through the entire your entire journey of your career. Because what I'm seeing is people get lost. We get so busy, we get so they stop investing in themselves, they stop doing for themselves, they get burnt out, and they forgot why they got into the industry. You guys, we didn't get into the industry because we were like dreaming of becoming multimillionaires. That's not why we're here. We're here because we love helping, we love hospitality, we love love. And so if you forget your why, I need you to tap back into that and make sure that you're not following all of those. How to make $1 million, how to get into the luxury market. Every single one of your couples should feel like a luxury client. Every single one, because that's why you got into this industry in the first place. That's my advice to them.
I love that.
Krisy, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, I think I would say, surround yourself with the most positive people, and including the people who are educating you. If this industry is hard enough as it is, like as wedding planners, we are in the top 5 most stressful jobs in the world for a reason, because it's hard. So if you are following or getting advice or someone's mentoring you by someone who makes you feel bad about yourself,
Forget it.
That's not it. Forget it. You should only be surrounding yourself with positive people. That's just so vital to me, because this industry is so hard.
It is hard. It's
It's
really tough. It's really tough. And you need that support. You need that loving kindness, people that are just going to wrap their arms around you and say, I got you. I got you. Don't you worry about a single thing. We need those people in our lives.
Amazing. Okay, Laurie and Krisy, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me today. Everybody on this call, I think you can see these two have absolute bleeding hearts. They are truly authentic educators and amazing humans, and do so much for our industry. It's just been such a pleasure having you both on this call. So big thank you.
Thank you so much. And bye to everyone for listening.
Just as a quick little plug, so Rock Paper Coin is doing these unfiltered webinars, and they are brought to you monthly. So be on the lookout for our next monthly webinar, and it will be Party Extraordinaire Ed Libby. So that is coming up next. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much. It was such a pleasure spending today with you.
All right. Love you guys. Bye, members. Mwah. Love you guys.